So I've just had a really busy month in Newcastle with work, so now I've got a couple of weeks off. I'm going to head to Hervey Bay and catch up with a mate and his wife I haven't seen in 20 years. So Jack's found his comfortable spots in the van for the long drive to Queensland. First stop Gold Coast to see the parents along the way, then to Maroochydore to pick up some equipment, and along the way some toilet breaks for Jack and also to stretch his legs for a little while. So here we are on the Gold Coast, a quick overnight to have a meal with my parents at a restaurant and then a good night's sleep and then head to Hervey Bay in the morning. So the first thing I do when I arrive in a town is normally head towards the airport just to know where the locations are and what sort of airport it is, so I know what drone flies I can and can't do in the area. And besides, I'm really interested in aviation. Never wanted to become a pilot, but you know, boys and their toys, they say. And besides staying at the industrial area of an airport or the long-term parking, I don't actually per se camp. I just pull up, crawl in the back, go to sleep, and then go find a nice spot in the morning to have breakfast. So this look on Jack's face is, please take me for a swim. Then it's, okay, I'm not going to talk to you if you're not taking me for a swim. And then Steve weakens to this look on his face and takes him for a swim before we go for breakfast. So normally I make my own coffee with a plunger in the motorhome, but when I first arrive to a town, I like to have my first coffee at a coffee shop to get a feel for what the town's like. So I decide the day's not really good for a drone aerial shoot, so I grab the little Canon G7 and go for a walk along the waterfront and find this little gem right at the end. I also find the long walk after a long drive washes the road off you and you can get back to some normality after such a long drive. One of the resorts down by the marina, downtown Hervey Bay. One of the local fishing boats heading out for its catch, and in behind that you can see Fraser Island. Hervey Bay seems to be the gateway to Fraser Island. So as you can see, there's a fairly strong current running under this pier and a fairly long tide you get from Hervey Bay. So here we are, day 2 at Hervey Bay. So I decided to take the drone up for a fly from 3 different locations, focusing on the pier. hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, Urangan Pier. It was formerly a deep water cargo handling facility, originally built to facilitate the export of sugar, timber and coal. The pier was built between the years 1913 and 1970, and originally the pier was 1,107 metres long. So in 1985 the pier was closed and 239 metres of the pier was demolished, leaving as it is today 868 metres long. The cargo was transported down the pier via rail, which is no longer there. So the land the pier sits on was handed over to the Hervey Bay City Council, and in 2009 they finished restoration of the last 220 metres section of the pier, fully restored. To what we see today, a beautiful promenade and coffee shops and little walkway to where it goes out on the pier. But yeah, it was a beautiful little asset for the town of Hervey Bay. For my stay in Hervey Bay, every time I went past it, the pier was being used a lot. Fishermen, people going for walks, or just, you know, just the general public to use. So recently I bought myself a DJI Mavic Air. So instead of putting my commercial drones at risk while I'm out holidaying, visiting friends or travelling country and not doing commercial shoots, I decided to use the Mavic Air, and I was quite impressed of how it performed and how it flies and how it films, but it's still not to the quality that I can see from the video as I get out of my Phantom 4 Pro Plus. One thing I did find with the DJI Mavic Air is it was a little bit sluggish in normal mode. Over the years I've learnt to fly very smooth with my controls, so I actually ended up putting it in sports mode so I could get the consistency and speed I needed to, and also get from A to B while I'm doing the different angles and shoots. So if you want to see any of the photos from these shoots, and I don't just shoot video, I actually target shoot videos, not grab the photos from the video. I actually take raw photos while I'm in the air and then work on them in Lightroom. So you can go to my website to find those images. So the two hardest things to match up when you're doing a fly is one, weather, and two is tide. This started out as high tide, and the tide really goes out quickly here in Hervey Bay, so it's the best of both worlds. You know, we'd always like it to be perfectly high, but as you can see here, the third location, how much the tide has dropped from even just the second location. But yeah, you know, each whether it's high tide or low tide, one of my favourite aerial shots I've seen is one of Ken Duncan's in his gallery, and it shows somewhere up in North Queensland or the Barrier Reef, the tide had actually gone right out, and you see all the little valleys of water flow that flow through this area. So, you know, sometimes it's not always about high tide. Low tide works just as good sometimes. And there's one other thing, you know, I like the timing of the day for the shoot, with shadows and high sun. And besides being on holiday, you tend not to be getting up too early, especially when you've met up with a mate and have a few drinks at night. So that main bit of land you see in the foreground there, the trees, is Big Woody Island, and in behind it is Fraser Island. So as I am a one-man film crew, while I'm with mates or on the drink, I don't have a camera in my hand, but I did do a fly of my mate's property while I was there. The rest of the time was drinking and talking. So I caught up with my mate in Hervey Bay, and it was great, and stayed there for 3 or 4 days, drank, caught up on old times. It was really great to see, you know, someone after 20 years, and it seemed like yesterday. So I headed out of Hervey Bay down to River Heads, where one of the barges leaves to take 4-wheel drives across to Fraser Island. And while I was with my mate, he really told me that it is a must to go over Fraser Island. So on this trip I didn't go, but my next trip I definitely will go to Fraser Island and at least spend a week or week and a half over there. And of course I'd probably have to find a babysitter for Jack while I'm over on the island, but yeah, you know, that's life. So I am open to the idea of taking crew or people on these adventures. I do from time to time, but it's all about timing. So if your time works in well, and it's all about filming and being part of the adventure. So if you're interested, just go to our website and look up crew opportunities. So this will be me next time, going across on the barge with the drone for a week to Fraser Island for a week and a half. So what I did notice while I was in Queensland or Hervey Bay was not a lot of people swimming in the water, but there was a whole lot of people using the waterways, different recreational ways. So that's my time in Hervey Bay, and I head back to Newcastle for more work. So thank you for watching our video, we really appreciate it. Come join us on the journey, either through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube or our website. Without your generous support we would not be able to produce these videos, so please go to our Patreon page and support us, or go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Thank you.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying out its prayer, while we're so ashamed to be alive. Break the chains and our freedom's ours to take.